On to SCOTUS is one of the often repeated buzzwords in the right-wing circles and the MAGA world. The Trump campaign and its allies have so far filed and failed in 49 lawsuits across the country, winning a solitary victory. And the time to file election lawsuits at the state level has already passed, as we are past the safe harbor deadline. From here and until December 14th, only Supreme Court has the ability to hear election suits. Yesterday, with a single sentence, the Supreme Court denied the lawsuit filed by Mike Kelly from Pennsylvania. I'm not sure if this has happened before. A single sentence rebuke of a lawsuit. Even Fox News thinks that Trump is now trying to land a jumbo jet on a postcard.
Let's get some additional perspective on these legal fights. Jonathan Turley is a professor at George Washington University Law School and a Fox News contributor. Jonathan, good evening. Let me start with the Pennsylvania decision by Justice Alito. He turns it over to the full Supreme Court. No noted dissents, and they do not move forward. There's no injunctive relief there. Is that a big blow for the president's chances?
It is a big blow. You know, we've talked in the past about how the president was running out of runway, and at this point, to really make a difference, he'd have to land a jumbo jet on a postage stamp. I mean, he does not have a lot of runway left. This was considered his strongest case for the Supreme Court. And the court system has proven that it is independent in reviewing these claims. Many of these are Trump appointees who are voting against the position of the president, not because they have animus, but because they don't see the legal case, particularly in terms of the relief of blocking certification. There is this sticker shock that kicks in for these courts saying, look, there are problems that you've identified. There have been illegal orders in other cases. There have been votes that have been negated. But they're asking for a really massive form of relief, which is blocking certification.
You say he's running out of runway, and just look at the Electoral College timeline here. Today was the deadline to resolve disputes, actually. December 14th, the electors vote in the states. December 23rd, the states certify, deliver the votes. January 6th, the House and Senate joint session, count the votes, declare officially the winner. There is this other case that John mentioned out of the Texas Attorney General filing to the Supreme Court directly. Court watchers are looking at how this particular Pennsylvania case was dealt with 40 minutes after the filings came in. Does that suggest that they're just not in the mood to take care of anything else like this?
I'm afraid that Texas case falls in that category of that dog won't hunt. I mean, I don't see how that's going to be successful, particularly after this loss. And yes, the timing was notable. The ink was hardly dry on the filing when the court came back and basically ended this issue. So I think that it does not look very promising. The last few days, we've also noticed the Trump campaign and President Trump himself are talking more about going to the legislatures. You'll notice on his list of people that could change this, the first justice was number 3. He talked about a legislator or legislatures. And that's a straight muscle play. That's an effort to try to get legislatures to say, we don't want the certification of these votes to go for Biden. That is also not likely to succeed, but it does show a shift away from the court.
But as usual, the primetime lineup at Fox has started to do something that is really unique. One half will keep puncturing Trump's fraud claims. They'll be subtle, just like the interview you just watched, telling their viewers that this is all over. And the other half will actively promote fraud claims, telling the viewers there is still a possibility to turn this thing around. They won't say the exact words, but that will be the takeaway. Just like this following clip.
I can't make this up. We've had a couple of districts in upstate New York that have been problematic. In one congressional race, the Republican leads by a whopping 12 votes. That's Claudia Tenney's seat. Well, another 12 uncounted votes mysteriously appeared yesterday. After last week, they just mysteriously found 55 other uncounted votes turning up. Here now to join us with an update on all these election irregularities across the country is Kayleigh McEnany. Okay. It's over a month now, and we're still finding votes, but only when needed, apparently. Just like, we've found thousands in Georgia weeks after the election.
Yeah, that's right. In multiple locations, you can't make this up. And the vote separation in the case in the election you just mentioned is 12, and they find 12 ballots. So you have to ask questions here. It's quite peculiar. Every ballot should be counted and should be counted on Election Day, Sean. But I just want to underscore everything that you have just said, everything the Attorney General just said. That document that you have before you, that case, the Texas v. Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, this is the single most important document of the 2020 election. Everything you and I have discussed over the last few weeks, the case here in Pennsylvania, the case here in Wisconsin, this is all combined in a succinct, very well sourced, footnoted document where you have Supreme Court barred attorneys going before the Supreme Court saying, these are the facts. These are the truths. We've separated fact from fiction, and here it is. I would encourage everyone to read this document. It is big.
And I pointed out how strong I thought the Pennsylvania case was, because the state legislature literally bypassed their own state constitution that had very specific language in it as it relates to mail-in ballots and the limits they put on it. And the court just said, no, they're not taking it. So the fact that this was taken up tells us what?
As the court dismissed the Pennsylvania case yesterday, a second election case was filed. An absolutely ridiculous one directly in the court by Texas against 4 other states. The suit asked the justices to extend the December 14th deadline for certification for presidential electors. So this suit, filed by Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton, said Georgia, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin had engaged in election irregularities that require investigation, and it asked the Supreme Court to enjoin the use of unlawful election results without review and ratification by the defendant states' legislatures. Legal experts around the country are gasping for breath after knowing what was in the suit. University of Texas law professor Steve Vladeck called this case a dangerous stunt that has no prospect of being heard by the Supreme Court. He tweeted, "It looks like we have a new leader in the craziest lawsuit filed to purportedly challenge the election." I will just give you one small section, but because it kind of tells you how preposterous some of these claims are and why the Supreme Court will not be ready to touch this case with a 10-foot pole. On page 6 of the filing, it reads, "The probability of former Vice President Biden winning the popular vote in the 4 defendant states, Georgia, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, independently, given President Trump's early lead in those states as of 3 a.m. on November 4th, 2020, is less than 1 in a quadrillion." That's the kind of statistics that will not fly in a high school discussion. And they want to take this data that has no mooring to the evidence all the way to the Supreme Court. Imagine what will be running in the head of Supreme Court justices when they read that paragraph. I hope they don't even waste one sentence for denying this suit. Even a dismissal will not be worth writing on paper. Thanks for watching. If you like it, please subscribe.